the thing is that after Boris Johnson left, they put Rishi up against the village idiot, and
That's a little unkind. But I mean, for people who need subtitles, you're talking about Liz Truss.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I'm not sorry I said that.
Carry on.
And, it was pretty obvious to most people that 6,000, white Conservative members of the Conservative Party were going to vote for her and not him. And that's exactly what happened. Since then, since he became Prime Minister, he's been very badly treated, at least in my view, by the Conservatives. And we know how petulant he can be.
We do now. We didn't before, did we? But we certainly do now.
No, we didn't. We do now. And I don't know what happened, but something's just snapped. He knew they were going to lose anyway, and he's just said, look, basically, I can't say the word I want to say, but,
enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Yeah, enough is enough.
So
I've had enough. I've had enough of you. Sort this out for yourselves.
He liked the job, but he likes the job, but not the party. In other words, the party, he feels let down by the party, which would have begun when he had the first setback of his life, which, of course, was losing to Liz Truss. The first time in his life, really, as Beth Rigby on Sky News, I think, pointed out, that he just has no relationship or familiarity with failure. So those seeds there would be sown, and then the subsequent treatment that he received from the parliamentary Conservative Party, as opposed to the broader membership, has slowly sort of coalesced into a deep dislike of his own party, or disdain for. I like it, Mike.
We're talking about an Equalities minister who was recorded referring to trans people as transsexuals, saying, we gave them gay marriage and civil partnership, what else do they want? Refused to meet with the LGBT advisory group that is meant to report into the Equalities Minister, turns down speaking to Peter Tatchell, and seems to have this absolute dislike for those of us who happens to be gay.
I don't know. How do you know she wouldn't like you because you're gay?
Because if you only have to read, there is a recording of her discussing this on Vice. There is also the comments she's made in the newspaper.
I'd need to hear it all in context. I know. I don't know. I've met Kemi Badenoch on a number of occasions. I would be staggered if she was to be in any way, if she met you, homophobic towards you, Rob. I just don't think it would happen.
So, Nick, can I just make one small point?
Of course.
You're not gay.
No, I know.
You're not part of a group who has been refused time at the table of the Equalities Minister. When the LGBT advisory group fell apart because she would not meet with them, we have a problem. So,
Rob, does it justify this kind of language from Mr. Tennant?
Well, I would also point out that she referred to his colour in her response. So but the Tennant does this about everything. He's used the F the Tories a number of times. He had a right go with some very fruity language about Boris Johnson. I mean, he's an actor. She's a government minister.
Right.
And she has left minorities feeling that she isn't interested in half of her job. She is the Equalities and Women's Minister, and she is the Business Minister. And she has been disgusting.
Eilidh is in Belfast. Eilidh, what would you like to say?
Hi, so I'm a doctor, I'm an F1, and I actually became aware of this issue a few years ago because I did graduate entry medicine, so I did a degree beforehand. I could have gone and been a PA or I could have been a doctor. And I was like, why am I starting on £29,000?
Yes.
It's now £32,000, but at the time, £29,000, and they're starting on £41,000.
What, physician associates are coming in on £41,000?
Yeah, so they were coming in as band 6, but they're now coming in as band 7. So I started looking into this, and I was like, what is the incentive? Why is that happening?
Yes.
And I started looking into the course a bit more, and lots of my friends were physician associates at the same uni.
Right.
And they were saying to me, well, we're doing 5 years of medicine in 2. And I said, hang on, I'm doing 5 years of medicine in 4.
Yeah.
And so how does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I started looking into it, and essentially the reason you should be worried about physician associates is twofold. One is a bit more tinfoil hat, one isn't.
Okay.
The less tinfoil hat one is the way their curriculum works is there is no requirement on a national level, none for physiology, pharmacology. They purely learn conditions, but they only learn some conditions, and they only learn each condition in certain depth. It is very hard to diagnose someone with something if you don't know what it's not?
Yeah.
How can you say what it is? And so that's a less tinfoil hat worry.
Okay.
That's facts. My bigger worry is not talking about GPs that are already qualified, but ones wanting to get into training. There was something like 10,000 eligible applicants wanting to become GPs this year. They were all rejected because training is not increasing, but the GP practices are paid money by the government to the salary of physician associates, so they can get physician associates for free, and junior doctors' positions to train and become a fully qualified GP is capped.
Why?
So this is where I will get slightly more tinfoil hat. And I genuinely think that they are slowly trying to replace doctors.
I think most people now accept that you are born with the sexual orientation that you have, and there are degrees of that. If you draw a scale between 0 and 100, with 0 being 100% straight and 100 being 100% gay, there are variations within that. But there is no religion in this world that can persuade somebody to be of a sexual orientation that they are not. And I think that's what people of all, and I'm not saying this is true just of the Christian religion, but I think of most religions have got to surely accept that you are born into the sexuality that you're born with.
So the science actually does not accept any longer this idea of born gay or necessarily, born with any particular orientation. People's sexuality develops and changes and is fluid and is on a scale, as you described, 0 to 100, whatever. And I know people who are ex-gay, and I know people who have moved from straight to being gay as well.
There's no such thing as ex-gay.
There are hundreds and thousands of people who are ex-gay. You can go and look them up.
They might say they are. They might say they are. But we all know the truth.
Well, you're disregarding their testimony. I know many people who are happily married, having experienced, being homosexual, having homosexual desires before, and heterosexually married now, and having children, all of that kind of thing. And their own testimony is that I have changed. So, fine, you want to disregard all that testimony, fine, but the evidence is there and it's very, very clear. And lots of people have experienced change and lots of people accept that. Peter Tatchell accepts
all of those people have suppressed their sexual desires because they want to conform with what they think society demands of them.
Well, that's your view. I mean, that's not what they would say.
No. They probably wouldn't, because it wouldn't suit, would it? If you've decided that you are no longer going to indulge in gay sex and you want to get married and have children like 90% of your friends do, then clearly they're not going to say that. But that doesn't mean to say that they don't still have sexual desires of a homosexual nature.
Well, I could point you to people who have this testimony, and have their own testimony and examples and story about what's happened to them. And I think you ought not to dismiss all of these stories in that kind of way. Fair enough, you and I are probably going to just disagree on this, but the evidence is that people's sexuality is fluid and does change, and it can change both from straight to gay and gay to straight, and sometimes with help, sometimes without help, sometimes with conversations or prayer might help that change, and sometimes it doesn't need that.
What you've just said there, I think, is very crucial, because you've basically now tacitly approved of gay conversion therapy.
Of therapy in terms of conversations that help people on their journey to a desired outcome, which might be to change their particular sexual feelings or gender identity sense as well. Yes.
And you don't think that there's anything... I mean, these are not just conversations. These are conversations designed to persuade somebody to go maybe to a point, maybe to a destination that they want to go.
I wouldn't say so much persuade as help. Somebody who wants to be helped, who wants to experience change, who wants to, so let's say somebody's heterosexually married as a guy and is experiencing same-sex attraction, and they want to be faithful to their wife, and they want to discuss that and be helped to feel the desires that they ought to have with their wife. Should that be a criminal offence?
I'm a child of poverty. I grew up with
a child prodigy.
A child of poverty.
Oh, forgive me. I was going to say, are you allowed to describe yourself as a child prodigy? I don't know. A child of poverty. Forgive me. Carry on, Sarah.
Yes. So I grew up in a one-parent family on benefits.
Right.
I was a very clever child, but what happens between the age of 11 and 14 is you become conscious of your impoverishment. You don't want to go to your rich pals' homes because you can't return the compliment. You can't invite them back to yours because you're probably living in, not as grand a circumstance as they are.
Yes.
Also, they've got clothes, nice clothes to wear at the weekend or off duty when they're not in their school uniform. If you're a child who comes from an impoverished background, it's like you're hidden. You have your impoverishment is veiled by your school uniform Monday to Friday.
Yeah, of course.
So you don't want to rock up to events and you're wearing shabby clothes in comparison to your friends. So you become conscious of your poverty.
Right.
Also, it's the tall poppy syndrome. I think, sorry, I'm so nervous.
Hey, it's only me. What are you nervous about? You used to be a child prodigy.
I think it's because I lack confidence, because I am a child of poverty, and I think that's the issue.
Yeah, and that starts kicking in around now. I mean, that confidence, because whatever the opposite of confidence is what you feel when you start comparing your circumstances to your peers.
Correct. And it's that thing about being at school when you hit puberty, so it's happening younger and younger to children.
Yes.
But also, you want to be invisible. You want to fly below radar. You don't want to give people an excuse to bully or pick on you.
Right.
And being clever attracts bullies because they want to bring you down to their level.
But a wealthier kid would be less bothered by that?
They're armoured because their parents are drilling them with self-confidence, self-esteem. They get access to lots of experiences that poor children don't, i.e. holidays, foreign holidays, that kind of thing. And I think your money, that protects you from a lot. You can pay for lots of problems to go away if you come from a middle-class family. And there was a third point I wanted to say. So this data that's just been produced, the thing is, children are becoming much more sophisticated at a much earlier age. So this age group, those figures will drop. Children will become much more aware of their impoverishment at a much earlier age, simply because they've got access to iPads, all that kind of stuff.
That makes perfect sense. Go on.
And there was one final point I wanted to make. Sorry, I'm so
You killed my whole topic now. You've done it all. I've got nothing left. I'm going to have to go home early. Can someone pay Sheila Fogarty, please? Sarah's just answered absolutely every element of this entire subject.
I've got two boys.
Yeah.
So one is 3 and one is 5. And what I would say is that, so the 5-year-old has started primary school. So I take the view that everyone at primary school are just really lovely kids, regardless of their background.
Yeah.
I think, as a parent, I'm definitely going to police their peer group once they hit secondary school. And I will be that parent
to keep away bad influences.
Correct.
And that probably breaks down most easily on wealth. Because, I mean, the kids at I went to public school. There were some right old rascals at my school. So there were plenty of bad influences at public school. But what?
Yeah, absolutely.
But we work on the presumption that the bad influences are more likely to be from the poorer families because of the reasons that you've just described.
Correct. Yes.
Gosh.
And
why? The only bit I don't get is, well, two things. Are you aware of it happening at the time? Are you aware of the kid? You see them moving further away from you. And secondly, why would you take your foot off the pedal? To attract less attention? I get that. You don't want to be bullied for being clever. But are you conscious of that at the time? Are you conscious of thinking, I'm not going to do my homework as well as I could, or I'm not going to put my hand up in class as much?
My mother was very poorly educated.
Right.
She came from Ireland, could barely read and write.
Yeah.
She had no aspiration or ambition for me. She couldn't help me with my homework.
Gosh.
Oh, God, I think I might cry.
I know, that's fine. I think I might. That's absolutely fine, because you speak with great love as well.
I loved her so much.
I know, I know.
If you don't have that help, if you don't have someone pushing you on, and also as a child, I think you're completely oblivious to the fact that your choices that you're making in secondary school are going to impact your wealth as an adult. You don't realise that high grades probably equal a university education, probably equal a well-paid job if you join one of the professions. I don't think you're aware of that, but you're certainly aware of your impoverishment as a child.
Sarah, so many people saying that you're describing them in my messages. This was me, James. I was fast-tracked in primary school. Home life was tricky. Dad was a drinker, at top of my class, but as a teen, it all slipped away. Had an abortion at 15. Between 11 and 14, makes perfect sense to me. This is my life that Sarah is describing. Do you wonder much?
And I just want to say, I feel bad that I'm going to police the boys' peer group.
Yeah.
Because I want them to do so much better than I did. I want them to achieve so much more than I have. And I will be snobby and I will be excluding people, but I just want to protect them.
Good luck.
Thank you.